Did you know that by saving and recycling a 4-foot stack of newspapers, you save an entire tree? Well, as San Antonio's landfill fills up, a local group is hoping to convince city leaders that recycling is the way to go in the 90s. Gina Galaviz tells us more.
Okay, go on with recycling. You don't need my approval, but you have my blessing.
Members of Girl Scout Troop 318 want to grow up in a clean world. That's why they spent the afternoon opening letters and collecting signatures. All this to persuade the city to implement a pilot recycling program.
It's better for the environment. It cuts down pollution, and the landfill, there's a lot more room, and actually it's much better for the city of San Antonio.
Citizens for Curbside Pickup want the city to go ahead with a program which will target 7,000 residents in the newly annexed Great Northwest.
It's done in St. Louis, Los Angeles, San Jose, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all across the country. Forward-thinking cities are acting and having curbside recycling pickup. And yeah, I would like to see that. It's very easy.
It's so easy, Balcones Heights is in the 9th week of its recycling plan. Residents place recyclable materials in plastic containers like these. Then garbage crews pick it up, separating the paper, glass, aluminum, and plastics. But until curbside pickup is a San Antonio reality, 7 local businesses are sponsoring Recycle San Antonio, with 4 collection stations citywide.
It's projected that our landfill will probably close by the turn of the century, probably as soon as 1995 or 1996. The problem of where we're going to put a new one or what we're going to do with that waste.
Premack and her grassroots organization will present their petitions to City Council on Thursday. She hopes it helps. She says, after all, we don't want our children's future to end up in the dump. Gina Galaviz, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
It has long been a practice of older people to give a power of attorney to a trusted friend or relative in case they can no longer handle their affairs. But a regular power of attorney becomes invalid if you become disabled. Well, there's a new amendment to an old law that may solve the problem. Here's Barbara DAYLER with Senior Connection.
A durable power of attorney gives someone of your choice, called an agent, power to act in your place if you can no longer make decisions. Your agent may make financial or health care decisions for you, even if you're unconscious or incapacitated. There are 2 durable powers of attorney, one for finances and one for health care. But you can't just write one in your own words. You must use a lawyer to write your durable power of attorney.
Well, the power of attorney needs to be written in a specific format set out by the legislature.
It must be signed by a competent adult, witnessed by 2 people, notarized and filed with the county clerk. Mr. and Mrs. John Dunwoody recently came to attorney Paul Premack for a durable power of attorney.
I feel it eliminates a lot of pressure at the time of an emergency, and I would have the authority, or my husband, reversed in the event that an emergency arose.
Can a family member make a medical decision for you without a durable power of attorney?
It's very difficult for them to. Sometimes hospitals will let them get away with it, but that practice is becoming less common. Hospitals are very afraid of lawsuits arising out of that.
It costs approximately $40 to write and file a durable power of attorney. If you can afford those legal fees, call Bexar County Legal Aid at 227-0111. Barbara DAYLER, Senior Connection, Eyewitness News.
This morning, we're going to talk about recycling, something most of us probably take part in, or even better, firmly believe in. With me is Ruthie Premack, the chairman of the Citizens for Curbside Recycling, and we're going to discuss the economics of recycling this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Ruthie?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
You know, recycling is in. It's something that we are seeing a lot of people get involved in nowadays, and that's good. But I think some of the folks, and something that you want to stress, is the manufacturers, some of the suppliers that make some of the products that we're interested in getting recycled, they're kind of lagging behind. Is that not correct?
That is true, and to keep this from just being in and taking it out of the fad stage and making it part of our future, we have to depend on our dollar buying power. And we have, as individuals, we have a power every time we go to the store to pick up a product that's made out of recycled resources and tell the manufacturers we want them to continue to buy the recycled resources and use them when making new packaging.
And how do we tell the manufacturers that? How do we make our point clear to them?
Okay. When you go to H-E-B, pick up products made by Green Forest. When you go to Albertsons, pick up products made by Hope. When you go to Kroger, pick up products made by Care. When you go to Handy Andy, pick up products made by Mardi Gras, Green Forest, or Soft and Gentle. They are all made out of recycled resources. This is toilet paper, any kind of paper good for the kitchen or bathroom. When you go to buy paper for your home or office, buy it being made out of recycled resources. Olmsted Kirk is carrying products made, envelopes, letterhead, watermark, bond for the office or the home paper use. They sell directly to the consumer. Nationwide Paper is a printer, and they sell directly to a paper supplier that sells directly to your printer. And every time you say to them, we want you to supply us with paper made from recycled resources, you're using your dollar to say, we care and we want to make a difference in the future. And you're not sacrificing quality, because the quality is inherent right now. Shopkeepers are aware of our demand as a consumer to increase quality, and what they are doing is they are saying to the manufacturers, we want features comparable to products made from virgin resources. We want value, and they want it at a good price.
That's right. You want as good a product or better. You want it recyclable, and you want to get away from using some of the virgin products that we cannot replace. Is that correct?
Yes, that is a very good.
I want to touch more on the point of what we can do as consumers to write letters, to talk to some of the suppliers and the merchandisers, to write to some of our city officials. Anything to let them know that it's not only a case of recycling your trash, it is more a case of having better products that you can recycle when you buy them from the stores. Is that not right?
Yes, this is true, and you can speak directly to the mayor's office and your city council representative's office in San Antonio and make a big difference. They are being very receptive to it and very supportive. Okay. Be friendly.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you for coming and sharing that information with us this morning, and good luck. Is there anything we can do? Just let us know.
A San Antonio woman joined more than 70 others at the White House today to receive the first annual Theodore Roosevelt Awards for conservation. Ruthie Premack earned the award for her role in establishing Citizens for Curbside Recycling Pickup. President Bush applauded the recipients as trailblazers in the local conservation movement. Premack says we have a ways to go.
There's a lot of potential in San Antonio. We've got a good group of people. The city council's looking toward the future. Both mayoral candidates are looking toward recycling and curbside recycling pickup as an answer. Businesses getting involved, homeowners are getting involved, the individual is getting involved.
Premack returned to San Antonio tonight.
San Antonio is learning to recycle its garbage. In her interview segment today, Angela Veerville and her guests have some advice. Angela?
People who want to recycle sometimes find it difficult to do so. They have many questions as well. What to recycle and what to do with the items are just two of them. And with us to provide some answers are Ruth Premack with Citizens for Curbside Recycling, and she's recently been honored at the White House for her work, and Stan White with Garbage Gobbler. Thanks for joining us. Now, Ruth, earlier you were telling me you don't like the word garbage, or you want to redefine the word garbage.
Well, if we can define what people are recycling out of their lives and have them understand that it's a resource and has value and not necessarily something that just to be disposed of, it has a positive connotation.
Now, Stan, there is an economic side to recycling. There has to be, I guess, a demand for the things that we save. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Sure. All the commodities that we're recycling are just that. They are commodities, and the price of these commodities go up and down just as gold goes up and down based on supply and demand. So we all hear about newspapers not having any value. Well, what's happened is we have more newspaper than there are people willing to buy the recycled material. So what we need to do is to help these markets out is for people to buy material that's made from recycled material. And that will cause the price of those things to go up. An example would be your newspapers have a value of about $5 a ton. The aluminum cans sitting here have about a value of approximately $700 a ton. But there's great demand for the aluminum. There's little demand for the newspapers. And consequently, that's why the disparity in what you get for those two commodities.
Now, Ruth, as consumers, can we help that by buying certain things?
Yes, when you go to buy a product, buy one that has been made out of a recycled resource. Well, all the grocery stores, Kroger, H-E-B, Albertsons, and Andy are carrying lines of recycled paper products for your home and bathroom and kitchen use. You can go and buy paper for your home and office. Nationwide Paper, OK Paper, have very good prices and good value and a good quality of paper because the shopkeepers are aware of us and aware of themselves that they want good quality as well as price.
Now, Stan, right now, I know there are a lot of people recycling, and since the city isn't doing it, people are taking their recyclable materials to different places, and we just read this morning that H-E-B has shut down its recycling collection centers. Why is this happening, or what is happening right now?
Well, what happened at the 4 Recycle San Antonio locations was that the amount of people coming to the centers was so overwhelming that we simply couldn't run those 4 sites economically. We were paying people to man the facilities, and with the price of newspaper dropping so dramatically, it made it uneconomical to keep them open. However, beginning of the year, we'll come back and reopen the 4 centers, and maybe even more, but utilizing volunteer groups to run it.
So this doesn't mean that it's been a failure. It's a big success.
No. It was a tremendous success. We set out with our basic objectives was, first of all, to see what participation would there be in San Antonio. Well, it was overwhelming.
I wish we had more time to talk about this, and I'm sure people out there do have questions about recycling. And we're going to put a number up on the screen. It's 366-2222. This is Ruth's group. If you have any questions, if you want to help out, or if you just want to know where to take your garbage, any of those things, you can call that number. Donna?
Health is Ruthie Premack of Citizens for Curbside Recycling. So it literally has to start at our own doorstep trying to save the planet.
This is true. Welcome. Well, tell us about, first of all, the program. It's soon to be citywide.
Well, this is also true. On Thursday afternoon, City Council passed curbside recycling pickup citywide. Kind of exciting. They did a lot of preparation, and they've made it win-win for everybody and everybody who's involved. We want to go ahead and continue with the petition drive that we've been working on, simply because not only were we asking City Council to implement curbside recycling pickup, we were also asking manufacturers to buy the resources and use them when making new packaging to help reduce the solid waste stream.
How quickly do people take to the curbside recycling plan, do you feel?
They're ready for it now. It's going to be phased in over a period of time, due to be citywide by 1995, if I understand correctly. But as soon as somebody has it at their door, evidently they're more or less ready to participate with it.
And how difficult was the process of getting this approved?
At first it was very difficult, but it became more and more easier the more and more people realized how important it was.
We're watching some of the process right now, the curbside recycling. Can you, for people who perhaps have not been exposed to how it works, how exactly does curbside recycling take place?
All right, well, what happens in your own home, you will take your resources, which are recyclable, that is any paper, plastic, metal, glass, or newspaper, depending on which of the resources the city council decides to focus upon, and you separate those out from your garbage. It's a split-second decision. You either put your garbage in one container and your recycled resources in another, and evidently you're making a decision. You make a decision whether to throw it away or make an investment in the future.
Also, I understand it's also important to what, as some people refer to as closing the gap and buying recycling. I guess that's part of the conditioning as well, then.
Yes, it's update your buying practices. When you go to the store, you have a power every time you use one of your dollars. And buy something that has a mark on it, the recycling symbol that says it has been made from recycled resources, not necessarily as recyclable, because anything is recyclable, almost. But you want to make sure that you buy something made out of recycled resources.
Do you find that the children nowadays are more aware of the environment and recycling than they were?
Yes, yes, it's exciting. We've done a lot of work within the educational system here in San Antonio. We went through the 5th district of the PTAs, and we worked with schools and PTAs, and we've made all of this available to the children. They are so excited about it. It makes sense, so they take it home to their families.
Well, how did Citizens for Curbside Recycling get started, and how did you get involved in all of this? I feel like you've done a lot of work already.
I have, but you know, a lot of people did it with me and before me as well. I didn't do it by myself. About 5 years ago, we had been recycling in our own home, and we found out that the Fair and Gevers Collection Center, which is run right now through Keep San Antonio Beautiful, was having a lot of trouble. and the lady who was picking up our resources and taking them down there couldn't do it anymore. And I said, well, what would be an alternative? And she said, I don't know. And so I started to find out. I researched around the country, and I researched around the world, and this seemed to make a lot of sense for what San Antonio had and could do.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and if people would like more information, is there a number they can call?
Yes, they could call and reach me at 366-2222. They can find copies of the petitions at Area Jim's Restaurants, at Half Price Books, at the VA, at the Health Science Center, Ace Holloway Hardware. There are all sorts of, the libraries, every place.
And I also like how you call it resources and not trash. I like that a whole lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks a
Ruthie.
lot for being with us this morning. Turning now to sports, John Snyder has your college basketball highlights.
And this type of document can help you decide on how your estate is spent while you're still alive.
Jerry and Jody Brown are proud of their large family.
We have 5 children and 15 grandchildren.
Because of their family, they're at Attorney Paul Premack's office to set up a living trust. But what is a living trust, and how does it differ from a will?
It comes into effect while you're alive, so it can handle a period of disability, to manage your property, pay your bills, take care of you, and preserve your dignity, whereas a will does nothing while you're alive. It's only there to pass your assets after your death.
There are other differences, pro and con. A living trust uses no court and has no probate, and consequently gives you privacy. With a will, probate is generally needed. One trust will cover both spouses, but each spouse needs a separate will. Up front, the living trust is more expensive, but it has no probate costs. The will is less expensive up front, but probate fees later come due. Jerry Brown chose the living trust.
Definitely think that everyone should be taking a look at this, particularly as the family ages and is less able to make decisions.
The law is complicated, but Paul has a second edition of his book, The Senior Texan Legal Guide, that explains seniors' legal problems in simple language. His book can be found at most bookstores.
None of us like to think about wills or probate or living trusts. We don't even like to think about dying. But it's important that we think about it, because the decisions that we make now can make a difference later for the ones that we love. Barbara DAYLER, Senior Connection, Eyewitness News.